मॉर्निंग। मैं हूं आपका दोस्त मदन सिंह and I'm going to talk to you on a very interesting topic, because India is facing problems now. India is hemmed in by enemies. We got Pakistan, China, Bangladesh, and even Nepal. And Sri Lanka is not all that friendly. And all of them have ganged up against India, led by the United States. In particular, Donald Trump. And मैं एक बात अभी कहूँगा कि this is the time we have to rally behind the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Every Indian must rally behind him so that we can give a united face, or rather present a united face to the enemies of India. Because one thing is very clear, that America is after the Indian blood. The way they are going about it is something which is very bad. First thing, the Americans have gone and invited General Munir for the Army Day parade in America on the 14th of this month. It's unheard. This field marshal, who is a self-styled man, tomorrow he can call himself a super field marshal or anything, hasn't won a bloody battle in his life, and he's been called for the parade. In addition, Pakistan has been made part of the anti-terrorist organization and is the vice president or something like that by the Security Council. So you can well imagine that a country that has fomented terror in India, carried out the Pahalgam massacre, is being given all the goodies by the American President Donald Trump. Well, I am very clear that God is a great leveler, and very soon Donald Trump will have to fight the dust. There is no doubt about it. But at this critical moment, when this is happening, I think we must all rally behind the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Historically, we know what's happened throughout, ever since the 9th century and the 10th century, when Muhammad bin Qasim came, and then came Muhammad Ghazni and Ghori. There was always division in the Hindu ranks. And when Ghazni was coming and invading India 17 times, the most powerful king of India at that time, Raja Bhoj, was just sitting in his den, in his palace. He didn't come out to fight Ghazni at all. And even Prithvi Raj, when he fought Ghori, his own brother-in-law had gone and sided with Ghori. And that's not the end. In the famous Battle of Plassey, when Nawab Siraj-ud-Dowlah met Robert Clive, overnight his general, who is referred to as the Gaddar-e-Hind, Mir Jafar, joined up with Robert Clive. And obviously, the British won the battle. So, gentlemen, it's part of history to betray the Indian nation. And this is something we must avoid now. We have one man in the Indian ranks, and that is Mr. Rahul Gandhi, and I don't think he has got any loyalty to the Indian state. He is going around criticizing Narendra Modi. He went to America twice, I think, went to Oxford University twice, and he claimed that Modi was leading India astray and requested these two nations to remove Modi from power. So you can well imagine what sort of a man this character is. And then, to divide the Hindu nation, he has come up with the ploy of caste-based census. I mean, nothing could be more absurd than that. But I think Modi overreacted, and he also said he will do the caste census. He should have avoided it. And stood on his principles, the principles of the RSS, which is that we don't believe in caste. Well, gentlemen, China, as you know, is breathing fire. It has given all sorts of weapons to Pakistan. Part of them, of course, failed in the recent battle. They no good. And now I understand they are going to get the J-35, the 5th generation fighter. Now, nothing to get frightened about it. My personal opinion as a man who spent years in the Air Force is that the reports which are coming to me about the J-35 is not very good. It's not a patch on the F-35 or the Su-35 57 with the Americans have got. But all the same, it would be better than any Indian fighter because it is a fifth generation plane, and I'm told in the month of August the first batch of 6 is coming to Pakistan as a gratis, I think, free gift, or maybe heavily subsidized by China. And in all, China has proffered 42 of these planes to Pakistan. So that's something food for thought. It means India will not have a counter power to that. One of the mistakes, I think, let's do some introspection, which Modi has committed, is to try and sit in the American lab. I mean, they don't want India in their lab. They don't want Mr. Modi there in the lab. So if that is the case, why can't Mr. Modi be more assertive and decide that he has to go with Russia? I don't know what's the decision, but I think if I were Mr. Modi, I would go in for the Su-57, which is a good plane, and forget even about the Rafale. At the same time, there has to be a little openness, and if there was a team which came from France to investigate how the Rafale failed against Pakistan, there is no harm in letting them examine the entire gambit instead of telling them that this is a security hazard to tell you all these things and send the team back. In that case, France lost face, and of course they are very angry with the Indians. So gentlemen, India is facing a hostile Pakistan. China, as you know, is on the war path, and now the latest thing which China has done is that they have stopped the export of rare earth elements to India. That's a great blow. The Indian auto industry, the rockets industry, everything will collapse. The Indian team is now waiting to go to Beijing for a discussion that if they can get these rare earth elements restored, and I think China will do it, but they got some condition, and the condition is that they will not be utilized for rocketry, missiles, or drones, or any such equipment, and will be used solely for the purpose which they are asked, that is industry, that is automobiles and other things. So gentlemen, India is being hemmed in, and then we have that great man in the East Pakistan now, that is Bangladesh, Muhammad Yunus. I think this man is a little bonkers. He's gone bonkers, and he's been playing hell into the system, and criticizing India at every point. In other words, he's anti-India. I don't see why Modi couldn't have snuffed him, out, rather extinguished the flame at the very time when Sheikh Hasina was fleeing. Had India acted at that time, the story of Bangladesh would have been different. Sheikh Hasina could have been restored back, but Modi, as usual, I'm very sorry to say, decided to follow the path of least resistance. That's a fact. What is the path of least resistance? So the least resistance is that he tried to make amends and atone and support Muhammad Yunus. The Indian ambassador attended his swearing in, and this man replied by burning the India center in Dhaka. I mean, that's the sort of effect India had. The only problem now is that Mr. Modi has to be more decisive. And though he can roar, and we know he roars very nicely, but he must learn also how to bite. That's a very important point. So gentlemen, as I am repeating, India is beset by dangers all around. Nepal is again anti-India at the moment, not realizing that India is the only Hindu country in the world along with Nepal. And now the Nepalis are cock-a-hoop because there is a railway line which has been built from China to Kathmandu, and so they will no longer be landlocked, and they don't have to rely on Indian ports to get their goods. But the cost of getting by train to Kathmandu and Nepal is going to be very prohibitive, and the Nepalis should well realize that it's a moth-eaten attempt to try and get their goods via China. But India has given a long rope to all their countries, whether it's Bangladesh or Pakistan or Sri Lanka or China. And I have a feeling that when you give a long rope to such people, they hang themselves. So I have a firm belief that if all of us can unite behind Mr. Modi, that would be the end result of these countries which are trying to oppose India. Sri Lanka should have been taught a lesson way back in the time when General Harkirat Singh had been sent with the IPKF by Rajiv Gandhi to northern Lanka. But somehow Rajiv Gandhi lost the election, and the next man withdrew the IPKF, and the Sri Lankans were cock a hoop. So it's about time, India showed the whiplash that India can do it. And there's no need to being subservient to the Americans. No need. No other country accepted their illegal aliens being deported in chains and fetters, and 2 planes landed with 600 people in Amritsar and chains and fetters. They were not criminals. They were not murderers. They were not killers. They were simple people who had gone to try to make a better life in America. This is the way the Americans treated them. And I'm sorry to say that Mr. Modi and Mr. Jaishankar just kept quiet about it. I have a grouse against Mr. Jaishankar. He went and made a statement that is part of the American law. I mean, has Shankar studied the American law? Why was this done only to India? Why not to any other country? Would Donald Trump have the courage to put the Chinese in fetters and handcuffs and send them to China? Not at all. He won't have the guts, as he has not had the guts even now to face China. He started all sorts of tariffs, 300%, 200%, ultimately just, piped down like a fountain dying, and is sitting and having a going to have a powwow with President Xi. In fact, he's invited him, and they're going to have a conversation. He's very confidently announced that I have had a trade deal with China. What trade deal you have had? Nothing. China is dominating, dictating the terms to Mr. Trump, and Mr. Trump thinks he's a great man, but I don't think he's all that great. He hasn't realized which side the bread is buttered. And he's forgotten what Hillary Clinton said about Pakistan. She told the Pakistan leaders that you have snakes nurturing in your backyard. And Donald Trump is just going and doing the opposite. He's given almost $40 billion to Pakistan from the International Monetary Fund. It's a very, very stupid thing which they have done. Because Pakistan is not going to use that money to benefit the poor people. No, sir. They're going to buy more weapons to try and fight India. And we must all put pressure on Mr. Modi to stand up against China, against America, not bother about the Americans at all. And there's no need to go in for the F-35 from America. We should go in for the Russian Su-57. Though I have a feeling of regret that thanks to Pandit Nehru, we are decades and decades behind China. I mean, it's so silly. I mean, who's got to take the blame for the fact that China has a 5th generation fighter ready and they're exporting it to Pakistan, and India has no such plans, and the first Indian 5th fighter is going to make an appearance in 2036. Is it a joke? I can't help it. Or maybe it's a joke. India is way behind. And unfortunately, we are more, hooked up on something like the caste system, the caste census and all that. We must remember historically, India lost because of the caste system. During the Middle Ages, during the time when Muhammad Ghori was there, the Kshatriyas were the only ones who were allowed to bear arms, and the others who aspired to carry weapons. Gentlemen, the weakness of the Hindu armies became apparent at that time. After Ghori had gone back, his son, I believe, with about 200 horsemen, was able to go all the way from Punjab to a distance of about 1500 miles right up to the river Nadia without any opposition. This was because there were no Kshatriyas to oppose him. So you can well imagine the effect which was there of the caste system on the battle conditions. And yet now we are still going into the same thing by dividing the Hindus. We expect Modi to make a stand against all this. Now India is facing a danger, as I told you, and it's a tremendous danger. China is on the warpath. America is betraying India. And the biggest blow has been that Russia has also gone out of the Indian orbit. That's also a fact. So we have to restore the relationship with Russia at least. Russia is basically angry because it has been a time-tested friend of India, and yet Mr. Modi tried to sit in the lap of the Americans. But the Americans don't want it. So all of us have to back Mr. Modi in his new endeavor, which I'm sure he's going to make, and when he's going to face up to America and he have to choose, and I think he will choose Russia. So gentlemen, the world is really in a very, very fluid situation. War in Ukraine, war in Gaza, China hostile, Pakistan getting ready to beat India, Nepal having its own axe to grind, Bangladesh hating India, and Sri Lanka, I've been there, very nice, friendly people, but the government has got some axe to grind. I don't know what it is. They are not even allowing a bridge to be made from Dhanushkodi to the Sri Lanka mainland. Why? Nobody knows. They don't want any association or connection with India. After all, England and France has got an underground sea channel running between France and England, but here the Sri Lankans don't want it. Anyway, this is part of the game. The situation overall is that India is facing a grave crisis and is incumbent on all Indians to back Mr. Modi. He is the best bet we have, the best Prime Minister so far. We don't want another man like Nehru or Shastri or Gulzari Lal Nanda and Charan Singh and also a lot of them, coming back. Even the famous Sardar, who was a yes man, a lackey of Sonia Gandhi. Good man at heart, but that doesn't help. So, gentlemen, I hope I made the position clear. Whatever the faults, whatever happens, India has to face the danger unitedly. And people like Rahul Gandhi, I think they can be ignored, or maybe, they can be told, well, friend, enough is enough, relax. You're not going to be the Prime Minister anytime ever. I think now I will close now. I look forward to your association with me. Please subscribe to my channel, share it with your friends, and come back for more. Goodbye, God bless, and Jai Hind.